Welcome back to My Artist Friend, where we get to know the artist behind the art. Today I'm talking to my artist friend, Laura Fisk of Fisk and Fern. We met in the art scene in Austin, and she is incredible. She had a product-based shop for years and years, basically around the same time I started. And we talk about kind of her journey through her shop and the evolution, because in this time in her life, she talks about wanting a new grind, and she has transitioned to being a children's book illustrator. So she kind of has her holiday product-based stuff and her illustration career. So we talk about the transition, some of the difficulties in kind of learning how that world works, the world of children's book illustration. And it's a really great talk. We might go off on a few tangents, yelling about how artists need to be paid for their work and quite a lot about Muppets. And I mildly lose my mind over a TV show. You'll see. It's a whole thing. I hope you enjoy the conversation. Here is my artist friend, Laura. Hi, Laura.
Hey,
Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for hopping on with me. I really appreciate it. I love that you reached out and you're like, I don't know if you'd want to talk to me. I just, haven't made the transition from doing product into children's illustration. I don't know if that's interesting. And I'm like, tell me everything about that right now. Like, that's all I want to know. It feels like the illustration is kind of like a long game with all book things. So I'm sure there's a very different, cadence to creativity than when you have like a product-based shop. So maybe we should start with your product-based shop and then kind of like go from there. So I would love to know more about Fisk and Fern and kind of the evolution of that.
Yeah, I feel like long game is, I've said 1,000 times, I really should just get a shirt that just says long game.
Long game.
Ask me about my long game.
Yes.
It's like a mantra that I hate it, but it's true.
Yeah.
So I don't even know what year it was that we started Fisk and Fern. I originally started with a friend, and she did kind of collage-based illustrations, which were really cool. And I was doing a lot of different printmaking. So I've always drawn. I can't remember a time I didn't draw, but when this is the kind of long version of the story. So when in high school, I started working at a rubber stamp store. So
that's awesome.
And this is like before like computers really could do a lot of graphics, unless I guess you were, in a studio or doing things. Even then, like I think Photoshop was really nascent at the time.
Yeah.
So the idea of like people making their own cards or, their own things was really, really, analog still. So I worked at the Great American Stamp Store in Westport, Connecticut. It's no longer there, but, and it was like kind of this intro into really being validated as a creative kid. Like I was, I don't know, 16. I stopped babysitting as soon as I possibly could.
Nice. Yes, as we all do. Lord.
Yeah. No interest. So it was like a friend of my mom's had this, they were, had this store, and I started working there, and it was all like moms, which is so funny. I reflect now. It's like all people my age now. And I loved them and got along with all of them. I was such an awkward teen. So anyway, I got into printmaking then, and which is a hilarious way to get into it. And then fast forward through college. After college, I was working in New York and took a ton of printmaking classes and art classes. I could finally take art classes, which I had been wanting to do forever. Yeah. So I took them at the Art Students League, and I took them at School of Visual Arts. If anyone's listening and in New York, there are so many wonderful continuing ed programs. So that's really how I did a lot and fell in love with screen printing in particular. I was kind of working my way at the SVA print shop through all the different printmaking mediums. And I fell in love with screen printing because of the bright colors, the immediacy, which is a joke. Like printmaking is always a slow process, but in terms of the fastness of screen printing, I would put Pat of printmaking, screen printing's at the top. So I had carved a lot of rubber stamps, did a lot of lino cut. Anyway, did screen printing. And when you do printmaking things, this is getting to the point of how we started Fisk and Fern. You print make stuff, you make a lot of multiples of everything. that you then get stuck with. And so you want to sell them because
Yeah.
all these piles of things that like now, because
Yeah.
when you print make something, it's dumb to print one or
Yeah.
two or five
We've
or
got the
even
screen.
10.
Use it.
You
Yeah.
want to print a lot.
Ink's already out. What are you
Yeah,
gonna do?
no, yeah, like the setup is just as long as the printing. So,
Yeah. God,
um,
that's the truth.
eh, but it's great too, and I love it. I love printmaking is always
Yeah.
will always be a huge part of whatever I do.
Yeah.
Um, so it was right at the beginning of Etsy. Like, Etsy
Hmm.
was starting, Renegade Craft Fair. What was that knitting
Yes.
book? That
Well, there's the craft book, the
there's
craft
craft.
magazine, which I
Yeah, oh,
have.
craft magazine.
I have every
Gosh,
copy right in
oh
there.
my gosh.
Yeah, there were a bunch of really cool
It was like all
magazines
of
at that
that,
point.
like new,
Ready
yeah,
Made magazine was
all
really
of
great.
that. Like just it was all kind of the start. And I always loved the idea of having a small business.
Yeah,
My like my parents both have had small businesses. My dad's always like, make it a business, no matter what your hobby is.
awesome. I love
So,
that.
my friend Marianne and I had been talking, and we're like, oh, this would be fun, to do. We can do it together. This will be great.
Yeah,
And so, my last name is Fisk. Her last name is Fernsler. We're like, oh, Fisk of Fern.
I
So,
never knew that.
yeah, I know that's the real story of that. And then, but then, after a couple years, we were all in. She and her husband, me and my husband, were in New York, and she, she had a different career and was just kind of interested more in doing that. And they started
Mm,
having kids, and I think she was just kind of interested in doing other things. So she's like, and it was very amicable, honestly. So
mhm.
she was kind of like, I think I just don't want to. I want to do other thing, and I'm like, okay, I still want to keep doing this.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I still like the name, so I'm going to keep it.
yeah, yeah, right.
So yeah, and then then it kind of just shifted to my work, and
Yeah,
I started mostly doing cards and paper because I always wanted to have a card business for whatever reason as a
yeah,
kid.
sure, yeah.
And it was fun to kind of explore other things, especially with the screen printing. All my cards were
Hmm.
screen printed at first. And then, it just kind of, this is a super long rambling
No,
answer. But anyway,
look, that's what
so
this podcast is for.
yeah. So I feel like the good thing was like over, let's see, I think I started, it was like 2008, maybe
Yeah,
2009. I'm very bad. Like when people are like, I've been in business for 10 years. And I'm like, wow.
yeah. I only know mine was 2006 because that's when I have my little Etsy store. Still, I put it on vacation. I'm not gonna sell anything, but I can't let it
Same.
go.
That's a whole
And
topic unto itself.
right, but I
I've been
know
on
it's
vacation for a
June.
year. Yeah.
Yeah,
Two,
June
maybe.
2006.
Yeah. I
It
feel
says
like,
it right
oh yeah,
there.
I should look. I can see. It's like probably
Yeah,
2008. Yeah. We opened the Etsy store. We did Renegades. We did
yeah,
all sorts of things. And then I, eventually did trade shows, did
really.
BMAC, which is the Baltimore,
What's
well, I
that?
can't even remember what it stands for,
Oh
but it's more
yeah.
of a crafty show. And
Mm-hmm.
then did New York Now and all that stuff. So,
Yeah.
it just kind of became more and more focused. And
Mm-hmm.
it really was, I think for me, like we all get our education in different ways, especially if you don't go
Mm-hmm.
to art school. And I think it was
Mm-hmm.
my way of really, and still, figuring out what I like to do. It fills a need. I like, even though I feel it's not as cool to say you're not an introvert, like I'm a mix.
That's fine. That's fine
Like,
to be an
yeah,
ambivert.
yeah. Oh, is that what it is? Ooh, that's
Yeah.
fancy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I really like talking. I mean, I like talking to people. I like
Yeah.
hawking stuff. I like selling
Yeah.
people. It's fun, and I'm like in a genuine way. Like I'm not
Yeah.
like trying to trick people, but I think it fulfills like the business for a long time really fulfilled those needs of I get to
Yeah.
make things, like that
Yeah.
need to physically make things, to
Yeah.
get out and form a community and talk to people, and also sell your stuff and have it feel really validating and great, to
Absolutely.
sell. And I didn't even mention, so the other products, the other big things that I did for a
Yeah.
very long time were dish towels, so
Love
tea towels,
your tea
funny food.
towels.
Yep.
So hilarious. Like your particular art style is so like free and expressive.
Hmm.
And like every time I would see your stuff, it just always made me smile. Like always made me giggle. I'm like, and the little queso guys
Same.
like
Yeah.
jumping around and like it's so cute. It's so fun.
Well,
And
same to you.
that's
I'd
why.
always be like, "Ooh, what's Becky got going on? Let me see."
Oh no.
Yeah,
It was all
so
just a
cute.
pink cat. It's fine.
Yeah, of course. A cute big cat. You're way more than pink cats.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, so I did these funny food. Yeah, these funny food dish towels for a long time, and so this year so at this point now, I really only do Blue Genie, like,
Yeah.
that's it. There's a
It's
holiday show in
mhm.
Austin, Texas, and
That's how
so
I
I just it's kind of like now I feel like the business is kinda seasonal, like, for me, which is
Yeah.
actually kind of exciting, like, I used to be
Yeah.
really embarrassed by that, but now I'm like, "I'm gonna own that." So, this is my first season, out with no dish towels because I decided
Really?
just I'd been thinking about it for a long time, and it's just
Yeah.
the cost of buying them, printing them, doing them,
Yeah.
even I had, had them outsourced sometimes and sometimes not,
Mhm.
depending on if I could afford it and how many I was printing.
For
Um,
sure, for
but
sure.
it so I now mainly have these, giant coloring sheets, so
They're
which are really
so
fun, and I
fun.
really
They're
like doing
so
them, and
fun.
yeah, so
Yeah.
no
No,
dish
I
towels.
love your display too at Blue Genie. So for people that don't know, anyone who's followed me for a few years at least knows my love of Blue Genie and how it just consumes. Because did you set up already?
Yep.
For yeah,
Mhm. To
every
bring in my
year.
products, which many of them are not folded yet,
There's still
in
time.
tomorrow.
There's still time. It's fine. It's
Oh,
fine. There's always
there's
time.
oceans of time.
Yeah. But Blue Genie is this, it's like a giant consignment shop for holiday things in Austin. So I have this huge warehouse, and there are usually, it's like 250-ish artists.
Yeah, it's about right.
And everyone gets their own, like, kind of face of a wall, size depending, and you put all your stuff up, and you bring all your displays, all your product. You are in charge of like filling everything, and then people can just shop everyone and check out in one place.
And it's nice because you just set up a wall,
Yeah.
and I always feel like I'm a little elf restocking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so fun. And I would get a lot of my like I say like this podcast is really kind of filling my cup. Like I am an introvert, but I miss talking shop with people. Like I love chatting one on
Yeah.
one, and like Blue Genie setup day is always so fun cuz
Yeah.
like the energy is high and you get to see all your friends and see what
Yeah.
people are doing, and you're like, "Dang it, I should have set my stuff up like that one." And
And
like
you're like, "Oh, why?" And
yeah.
you're just like, "Hey, hey," and it's kind of like this, like, family reunion, It's
Yeah,
it's really
yeah.
it's
And it's
really
all
nice.
festive and Christmassy, and everyone knows I'm crazy about Christmas.
That's true,
I
yes.
love the season.
Yeah, it's fun, and it makes it feel festive when it's hot here, and there's doesn't
That's
feel at
true.
all like Christmas.
That's very true. Yeah.
Especially as a
And
non-Texan, so growing
I
up.
would usually gauge like the weather because I'm like, okay, it was about like halfway through Blue Genie when I had to wear a jacket to set up.
Yeah, it's so hot. It's always so hot on setup day, and it was. It was
Yeah.
like 85. It was
Good.
so hot,
That's
but it was okay. But yeah, I'm always feeling a little rusty at the beginning of it, and
yeah.
then it feels good by the end.
Yeah, absolutely. So now I think I love this season of life for you because you can
Yeah,
come in and have that, like, product show feel and get the energy of the holidays and everything, but also the rest of the year, you can work on the other
yeah,
side of things.
yes,
Like, that's so fun. So,
yes.
what was it like diving into like children's book illustration and stuff?
Oh, big question. I think
Yeah.
it's been like a what's the like it's like kind of the one like my one thing was kind of fading out while the other thing was
Mhm.
kind of coming up, I think is really
Yeah.
the like because I just kind of got to a point where I'm like I kept I'll say that I always keep saying this, I kind of want a new grind. Like I'd
Yeah.
been doing a lot of wholesale and being really burnt out by it and probably
Mhm.
not being all that like great at it. So
I feel
like,
that.
I'm like, it's just the follow-up and the
Yeah, it's a
connecting
lot.
with store owners, which is really hard because
Yeah,
they're really busy
yeah,
and it's hard to catch them. Like, all that part, I don't think I ever really did a great job with, to be honest, and it's
yeah.
like
I
it's just
I really leaned on Fair a lot with
yeah, and
wholesale because they handled so much.
I
Because it
really
is a
wish Fair existed when I started doing wholesale. I think I would have
yeah,
been killed it.
yeah,
Uh
yeah,
Now it feels too late. I'm like, I'm ready. I'm ready for a change. So I just was kind of
yeah,
ready for a change. And, you know, like as I got better at drawing, like I wanted to do more. And I think for me, in the back of my head, the idea of doing books and doing that sort of thing has always kind of been a desire and interest. Like
yeah,
I love children's books. I love picture books.
Mhm.
Love physical books. I love everything about books.
Yeah.
And so the idea for a long time, it was always just like a pipe dream. Like it's like it's easy to say this, and I sound like ooh, I'm a guru, bleh. But like allowing yourself to be the person that does that, and and the truth is too, like, I'm lucky I'm married and, we have, like those incomes can really help and like, all
Mhm.
that sort of stuff. And, you know, and acknowledging all that makes it a little easier. But,
Yeah.
I think the idea of wanting to do that became more and more like a real, like, I can actually do this. I should do this.
Yeah.
You know, again, I'm very bad at years. I don't know what year it was, but maybe like five pre-COVID. So maybe 3 years before COVID, whatever that,
Yeah. That is a good
2013,
benchmark.
2015, or I don't know. Icon is this wonderful, fantastic illustration conference.
Mhm.
It's called Icon, the Illustration Conference. And they actually came to Austin, and a friend had told me about it, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds cool. Like, I think I can swing that. It's in Austin. I don't have to pay for all the extra things.
Yeah.
I just pay for the
Yeah.
conference, and I'm going to go on a lark." And it was really like, I don't know, like it
Yeah.
was life changing.
Yeah. Change your
Like,
brain
yeah,
chemistry.
it really was like it was so important in many ways, just because like the conference itself was great, but
Mhm.
it really kind of woke my brain up to you can get out of your lane. And like the people I met there, I'm
Yeah.
still like really good friends with a lot of people that I met at that specific conference.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it just was like, oh, like I need to get out of my little corner, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I had like there's a organization for children's book writers and illustrators called
Mhm.
SCBWI, which is
Yeah.
awkward acronym for the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. And so there's a very, very strong chapter in Austin. And I had either been going to sketch nights, like I had gone to their conference when I was in New York many years before, so I knew about it, but
Mhm.
I hadn't done anything in Austin. I can't remember if I had like started going to sketch nights beforehand or I hadn't, but one of the friends I met at Icon was like, "Oh, you should definitely go to sketch nights. You should do this." So it kind of like I think it's so important to have anything you do to have a community of
Yeah.
people,
Yeah,
that says like
absolutely.
you can do this.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with all like with our businesses and with like the craft world and stuff like that.
Mhm.
It's like you're in this world, all these people and you see people doing it and you're like, I can do this too, or this is what I want. Ah,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
and it's taking that leap and doing that because you just having the confidence to go to that conference and then to go to these sketch nights, like, putting yourself out there and being
yeah,
a little bit uncomfortable, and
it
then
is.
it turns into something amazing.
Yeah. And it's all again long game.
Mind game.
And so just going to that, and there were like, it was a particularly good icon. I feel it was like,
Yeah.
Jessica Hish talked, which
Mhm.
was cool, but it was like really good. And it was just it was kind of a really good eye opening thing. And so I just started doing more with the SCBWI group here. And the illustrators are really great. And just getting more and more involved. I was the illustrator coordinator for the past 3 years. I just stepped down from that, which was
Nice.
also great. Um, but it like I think just really kind of diving in to that world and learning about
Yeah,
it, and you know books like anything else in art and whatever, there's a lot of gatekeepers.
yeah,
It's an imperfect system, which that's a whole topic
yeah.
again unto
It
itself.
feels like the learning curve of getting into it feels really large.
Yeah, and I think it is. And I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of hurdles for my personality and who I like. I know for me, like traditional publishing is a better route, but we are in this era where indie publishing, self-publishing is actually
Huh.
like very powerful in a really great
Yeah.
way.
Mhm.
Like you can actually do it, especially if you're like just an author. I think still picture books are very expensive to make, even if you're an
Mhm.
indie person. But if you are like very regimented and you know how to promote your books and you keep doing them and they're well done, you can definitely have success, and that's super
That's so
exciting. So, but there's
yeah.
still a lot of work to do there. Like
Yeah.
that's not an easy road either. Like neither
Yeah.
are easy. So,
Yeah.
But for me, I just know that I'm not consistent enough to be successful at doing. And I also, yes, there are a lot of gay pay me and there's a lot of problems, but I think we are all better. Our work is always better or almost always better when we work with like a team of people like that you trust,
Mm.
and
Hmm.
that to be able to work with um, the way it works with traditional publishing, very short, is that you submit either your manuscript or a dummy, which is a draft book. That's like an illustrated draft book. I don't know why they're
Uh-huh.
called dummies, but that's what they're called. Um,
Rude.
and you can either submit that yourself or through an agent. Like I was very lucky and happy to get an agent last year. So
Nice.
yes, that was a huge,
Yeah.
huge, huge excitement and
Yeah.
milestone. But so either you or they submit them to the publishing houses, and you have a huge leg up if you have an agent. And then, if the editors like those books, if you're a writer, if they like your story, they pick you up or your dummy. And then if you're just a writer, they will assign you an illustrator. Um, they
That
are
is
two,
wild.
it's wild.
I didn't even realize that until recently.
Yeah, no one believes me when I say this if you're outside the industry, and I cannot stress enough, it is absolutely true. If you are a writer, you do not need to have an illustrator when you submit your manuscript.
That's
It's
awesome.
actually preferred to
That's
not have. I know.
wild.
It's crazy. Unless you really come in as a team, because
Yeah.
they, they have a vision for kind of who they want to pair with you, like with the
Hmm.
editor, and that's where the art director comes in.
Yeah.
And they don't even want people to submit final books. Like I'm staring at a half finished dummy on my screen, and it's like
Yeah.
they want sketches with a couple final art pieces so that they can actually have the input and say like, well, what if you did it this way? And sometimes they're really, really right. So
Nice.
for me, back to traditional publishing, I like the idea of working with a team. Like I
Yeah.
like with working with an agent is really wonderful because she gives me feedback and I can
Hmm.
work with her and send her something and she can say, what about this? What about that? What if you change, and not in a like tisk way,
Yeah.
she's excited about that piece. I'm excited about it. And she sees maybe a way to make it
Yeah.
better or
Yeah.
something that I maybe didn't push myself enough on. And she wants me to push me.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting and a unique part of like the book world, like even in writing, because you have like multiple different editors looking for things, like there's a syntax editor and then there's like, the editor that just reads to see it does this read
Yep.
well and like you get feedback from all of these people. And as someone coming from who can be a little controlling,
Yep. Same.
about my stuff. I think it can be hard for folks like that to like let go, but knowing that like they have your best interest at heart, like they want you to sell your book, like
Yeah.
because they also get paid. It's
Yeah.
like everyone's in it together to make the kind of best
Yes.
product
And
they
that's, of course,
can.
best case scenario. Of course,
Yeah,
you're going to disagree. And, like,
yeah,
it's like, why can't we do it this way? And you're like, well, I've heard friends say too, it's like, well, we think you need to do this or this. And she was kind of like, well, why? Because I don't
yeah,
think we should do it this way. And then there's a really good reason. So it is a conversation. If as long as
yeah.
everyone's like, there's good and bad of everything. But if it works
Uh-huh.
well, it's really exciting because again, it is a community as well. Most people who exist in a creative industry are
Mhm.
fans of that industry. They're there because they
Yeah.
want to be. They're not there because of the money. 'Cause it's not great no matter what. Like no one's making tons of money here. So unless you're
Yeah.
really, really lucky and an outlier.
Yeah, it seems like there are, the handful of people that you see all the time, especially in the kids' books. It's like,
Hmm.
you've got your Oliver Jeffers, you've
Yeah.
got your Mac Barnett's and
Yeah.
John Klassens,
Yeah.
and I'm
And they're all
sad that it's only
amazing.
men that I can think
Yeah,
of
I
off the
know.
top of
Yeah.
my head,
But
but I do love them.
yes. But when you go to like a library and you look at how many books are there, and the truth is most people I know who even have multiple books, they either have another job or, and that might be a creative job.
Yeah,
They, have a spouse, which is the sucky part of this. It's not
yeah,
really, like I want it to be that everyone makes lots of money and it's all great, but
yeah,
it's not the truth, and
yeah,
depending
especially
on
when you're in the long game.
Yeah, and it's a privilege to be long
It
gaming,
is.
I mean, it
Yeah.
really is, and
Yeah.
depending on what project you have, like, you either own the copyright for it or it's work for hire,
Hmm.
um, which means that you can make royalties off of it and you own the work if it's, if you're doing it that way, or if it's work for hire, you're being paid for your work and then
Yeah.
they own your art. So, which is
Interesting.
tricky, which is not great.
Yeah, I was gonna say that doesn't sound super
No.
fair, especially if something takes off.
Like my camping book that I did now
Yeah.
that came out April 2020.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
Great
well,
time for a book
nobody,
launch. Anyway,
nobody
but
really could have
no. Yeah,
expected
and of
that.
course everyone was doing outdoor activities, but that was a work for hire.
Yeah.
And but I did take it because one, like, it was a chance to do a book, and some other people would absolutely disagree. Work for hire is a really touchy
Yeah.
subject, but I just felt like the types of illustrations I was going to do, I know I wouldn't use them personally other places,
Yeah.
and they were pretty loose on how I could share them and whatever. There's some work for hire that you can't say that you did it, which I wouldn't be interested in. So,
Oh,
so
yeah.
yeah,
Interesting.
tricky,
A
like
little
white
funny
label.
too if you have like a very signature style, then
Yeah,
you can't talk about it.
yeah.
But
So
it's
I
like
mean,
very obviously.
I could, put on my website, say that I did all that sort of stuff. So it was
Yeah.
for me at that time, it was the right choice.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it's hard as an artist to figure out the trade-off of certain things. It's
Yeah,
like, especially if you're in the middle of a long game and someone comes along with a commission for something and you're like, I don't want to do commissions, but also they want to give me money.
yeah.
So,
It's
yes.
always trade-offs. I always
Yeah.
feel like, I don't know how you feel, but I think coming from advertising really helped that
Mhm.
people don't want to think of like, oh, my business isn't really a business.
Yeah.
I don't really want to make money, all that stuff. And it always is. It doesn't, like, art is always part of commerce. It just is. And that unless you're just like, I don't know, living off the grid somewhere, making beautiful paintings with your body or something, and no one sees them, which is,
I'm kind of over the idea of like the starving artist
yeah,
because there are a lot of people that feel like you can't have a thriving practice if you're making good money at it. And I say put the money in the hands of artists
yeah,
because we will invest in our community. We will spend that money wisely and then we just get to create more work. So like yes, it's
yeah. I think
good
it's
to make money.
crazy. I agree. I would agree 100%. It's so crazy. I think again, that's like a really like, well, and then how are you living?
Yeah,
So do you have a
because you
trust fund?
deserve to live.
Do you have like someone paying your bills?
Yeah.
Because that's stupid. Like,
Yes.
like,
Yes.
I get so annoyed still, like, if, now I haven't looked in a
Mm.
while, but, like, when you look on Etsy, it's like, how are you pricing that item? How how much money are you making from that thing? Are you doing this just for fun, or are you deciding to undercut every other person? Like, selling my dish towels, like, which is the average price between 18 and $20 a dish towel for like a hand printed towel, or
Yeah.
15 maybe
Mhm.
lowest. And you'd see some people selling them for like 10, and it's like, these are hand screen printed, blah, 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 blah. And I believe
Yeah.
that they are, but it's like you're choosing to undercut everyone else and you're not making enough money. You're
Yeah,
just
that's
not.
the thing. That's the thing, and that is something that, I've coached people because I have a
Yeah.
course. I don't really sell it anymore,
Be
but,
more a business lady. Yeah.
but that's one of the things, like, when people have trouble pricing something, and I'm like, "No, no, that sticker needs to be more than that." Like, how much did you pay for that? How much is it per thing? How much did you spend on the packaging for this? How long does it take you to package and ship this sticker? Like
Mhm.
there's so many factors that go into it. And like when you first start out, it feels uncomfortable to ask for more
Mhm.
money. And
Yep.
you're like, am I worth it? Do I deserve
Yep.
it? Is my art really good enough for
And
it?
I
Maybe
still
that's
feel
just
that
me.
way. Yeah.
Maybe it's just me, but like you deserve a living wage. You deserve to be paid for your work. And like, even one of the things that drives me crazy is like, oh, but you did that so quickly. Like, you drew that so quickly. I
Ugh.
shouldn't have to pay much. And I'm like, yeah, I drew that so quickly because I have 20 years of experience. of doing this. So you're paying for the 20 years of experience as well
Oh, that makes
for
me
me to do
so
it that
angry.
quickly.
That makes me, like, livid because it's also
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I I've had wonderful, delightful customers. Everyone's lovely, everyone's nice." But, like, you
Mhm.
get these people who would write you and again, this is not to be, like, mean, but it's just, like, it's more education and a
Yeah.
little grumpiness. But,
Yeah.
like, people are willing to pay, whatever in a store, and
Yeah.
Americans are just we want the biggest deal. We
Yeah.
always want the best deal. We always want
Yeah.
a sale. Like, well, I'm not immune to that, but,
Yeah.
but we just don't realize what goes into items. And, people
Mhm.
will be like, "Oh, like I want to do a custom piece, say." And
Mhm.
it's like, I think they're writing thinking like, "Oh, you sell your cards for $4 or 5, 450 and your dish
Mhm.
towels for 18, whatever." And so definitely that custom piece will cost me $20.
Yeah, and
And it's
it's
like, you have
like
to understand that
yeah.
one design that you're buying on a dish towel for $18 that I really only make, you know, 7, if that, per piece, that I've sold 1,000 of those. It's the cumulative cost of
Yeah,
that
it's
one
like
design is how I'm getting
yeah.
paid back
Yeah.
versus,
This one
that
thing.
like
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to spend hours with you. And it's like that happens too with a lot of I haven't gotten one in a while, which is actually good. But you'll get emails from people like, "Hi, I want you to," and which is very sweet. And I think it's a lot of times it comes out of just being clueless. Like, "Hi,
Mhm.
I'm writing a book and, self-published book, and I want you to illustrate it and la 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 la. And
Mhm.
can you either do it for free or we can split the cost when it comes out. And I
Oh,
just for anyone who listens to this and you are new and you think, I'm going to take this because it's an opportunity, don't take it. Don't take
yeah.
it for
Yeah.
$500. Like for the illustrator to
Yeah.
do that work, it's when you add it up, it is so much. It's so much time. It is so much
Yeah.
effort. You are not only illustrating the book, you're designing the book because you're laying out the text for self-publish.
Yeah.
You're doing the cover, which should be charged separately. I mean,
Yeah.
I really get like really grumpy about this because
Yeah.
it's just such a lack of understanding, I think, from the general public of how much time takes and how much like
Yeah.
even though I'm drawing really cute, silly stuff and my stuff is really silly, I take it very seriously
Yeah.
and it's a lot of time and it's a lot
Yeah.
of what you were saying. It's like I actually am experienced and this is 20 years of my experience going into this
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
don't
And like I get like it's difficult and expensive to write a book. But if you know you want to do that, then that's got to be kind of a passion project. You have to understand everything that goes into it, especially if you're hiring an artist on
yeah.
top of it because artists deserve to be paid for their time and that is so much work. I feel like
Yeah.
there's just a lot of education that needs to be done in general about the art world still, you
Yeah.
know.
I have this theory that I think it really goes back to like education. We have this view of like with kids that
Mhm.
are creative and that we treat them like these beautiful unicorns, which they are. Every child is a beautiful
Mhm.
unicorn.
Yes.
But that, oh, look at you. You're so talented. You're so
Mhm.
talented. You're so, oh, isn't that great? Isn't that nice? Whereas like the kid who's good at math,
Yeah.
you know, they're like, "Oh, wow, you're really good at math. Let's get to work." Let's make
Yeah.
sure and I really think it's lovely that we have that some schools still have art and
Yeah.
music in their schools, but it is always seen as a nice to have. And
Yes.
it's always the first thing cut, and it's just extra it's nice. It's a
Yeah.
nice isn't it nice that they have these other activities?
Yeah.
And for the kids who are artistic or musical or who dance or any creative path, those aren't nice to haves. They're everything.
Yeah,
They're
and they're
they're
so
literally like
necessary.
everything. And of course, artists are always oddballs. So for those kids who are definitely not the ones that totally fit in. Like when you walk into this, I didn't even take art in high school because I couldn't.
Yeah.
It was it's a long story, but
Mhm.
I wanted to, but it was like, you know, it's like you can breathe a sigh of relief walking to that art classroom because it's something I'm good at. It's something, or music or whatever. It's like, here I am. This is, and we just too often look at it as nice and
Yeah.
cute and like la la la, where it's like, no, no, it actually, this is this child's path. And there are actual things that they can do as a career.
Yes.
And if we treat it as
Yes.
that, I just think as a society, we would have a way better view of the
I
arts.
totally agree. And like using that creative side of your brain, music, art, even like sculpture, I was able to take
Ooh,
ceramics in high school, which was like
amazing.
amazing. I loved it. I took 2 semesters. It was
Oh,
incredible. But it develops a different part of your brain so you can think differently when you are doing math or when you are writing and you have, all these different colors you could write about and the senses that you're using. And like there's just so much more than just, oh, that's nice to have.
yeah. And they're all connected. They're all
They
connected.
are.
Like an
And like it,
architect, they're doing tons of math.
oh
Like,
my God.
like,
Yes. Yes.
and that's a really good profession, everybody,
I
like
know, right?
it's so, it's just,
Yeah.
I wish it was seen, and it's like if
Yeah.
you take art, like, ooh, get on my soapbox. But like
Get
if you
on
take art
there. Get
away
up
from our
there.
world, it lives in everything. It lives in every aspect of
Yeah.
every part of our lives. Like there's no removing it,
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely, absolutely. And like, I feel like it goes along with the idea of when people discount an artistic job, like what do you do? How's your little business going? What are you doing now? Oh, are you going to get a real job? And it's
Oh, when
like,
like I left advertising and it was like, oh, when you used to work, or when you
yes,
yeah, and it was like when you had your real job. Yeah, what you just
yeah,
said,
yeah.
and it's like, no, no, this, you
It's
know,
like it's
like,
a corporate job. It was a 9 to 5 job, but
yeah.
I'm still making money doing this, and it's
And
still a
it's like,
business.
what are you?
Yeah,
And I think that also it all goes to like undercutting, I deserve to make this money.
yeah,
Or I think too,
yeah,
people see it from the outside as like it's like noble or something to be a
yeah.
starving artist or to be an
No.
unhappy artist. And it's like,
Yes.
it's not.
No.
You're happier, you make better work.
Yes, absolutely. Like there is space for all of it at once.
Yes.
And I think it's wonderful because the world needs color and art and different perspectives because that's how you learn about other people.
So
Like,
much. I think art's
yeah.
important.
Yes, it's necessary. And art is resistance in a lot of ways too.
Oh,
When you
many
see
ways.
things happening and it's like, it's the artists, it's the signs that people hold at protests. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, visual arts are everything.
It's critical.
This
And
is
not
our
just visual arts.
soapbox.
Like I don't want to just say visual because it is like,
True. Very true.
I mean, like we just happen to be visual artists,
Yeah.
but like it's all the artists. Like
Yes.
we're all like, and everyone just likes to think it's like just cute and fun. And yeah, it can be cute and fun.
Yeah.
Sure. But
There's room for that for
yeah,
sure. But yeah,
yeah,
writers and it's like all these stupid book bans and like
I can't. It's
it's
beyond tragic
absurd.
because guess what? If you don't want your small child to read that book, you don't have to read it.
Yeah.
I think it's critical at any age to read books about everyone and from different
Yeah.
perspectives. We're all humans. We all live on this planet together. We all need each other. But yeah, and especially, little kids need to see these. And they also desperately need to see themselves in these books, whether they know it
Yeah.
or not, like whether
Yeah.
they can recognize if they're reading a story about and Tango Makes Three, about the sweet banned book everywhere, sweet two penguin dads raising, a little
Oh
penguin. And it's
Lord.
like the kid who's reading that and not realizing that they're identifying with that and how important it
Yeah.
is. And getting
Yeah.
into middle school and older when when kids are seeking out these books and needing like to literally live, to feel
Yeah.
that they exist in this world. Like they're
Yes.
critical. They're critical.
Yes. And for people just to normalize so much stuff, like you said, like the 2 dads, like we intentionally go to the library and we get books of
Yep.
different kinds of people. So then, our little white boy
Same.
understands like, different people exist and different families
Yeah.
exist. And it boggles my mind. I'm like, didn't y'all watch Sesame Street? Didn't you watch Reading Rainbow? Like,
Everyone should still watch Sesame Street. It's still
hurry
great for
up.
adults to watch. It's
Yes.
favorite thing in the world, but um it's just like kids
Yeah.
understand this stuff. Kids aren't phased when you're like, "Oh, that person is whatever," and we're kind to them, or they aren't phased. It's just when we get
Yeah.
older, we try and complicate it, and it's so much harder to explain to a child why just because of the way that person looks, you should be mean to them,
Yeah, it's
or what
absurd.
they
Kids
believe,
don't.
or that it's like
Yeah.
they're like, "What? Why?" Like, they're taught
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
hate that. Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's why art and representation are just so necessary, because then you get a peek into other people's lives that
Yeah.
are like just as normal as yours.
Yeah. Those
Like,
people as in the Muppets, I am a huge Henson fan. I don't
heck yes. Heck yes.
But in Muppets Take Manhattan, when he's like the diner guy, he's like, "People are people," It's like, I say that all the time. It's like my favorite quote because people are just people. Like
Yes.
everyone, there's good people, nice people, mean people, whatever, everywhere, at every any type of person. People are people for the good or the bad.
This is the second time I've talked about Muppets on this podcast today.
So I'll talk about Muppets all day long.
Oh my god.
I love them
Muppet
so much.
Christmas Carol.
Fine. Oh, Yearly
A
Why.
perfect movie. A
Perfect.
perfect movie.
It's so good. And every time I watch it, I see something new that I love so much. I've seen the movie 100 times. It's
The way I just sing No Cheeses for Us Mises, just like in my everyday life.
no, and then the penguins. Though, I do have fault with
Oh,
the Christmas Carol. Is only that really
uh-oh.
bad, that really long, boring song. That's like
Oh,
that,
the one they cut out of
Mhm.
like the final. Yeah.
Yeah. Like we always. It's so
Depressing.
funny. We've listened to that
Yeah.
soundtrack. Now my son is now 10. Wait, and your
Mhm.
kid is he
Mine's
8?
9. Yeah.
9. Oh, because he's only.
Yeah.
Okay. But
Yeah.
like, and we're always like, boo. Well, it's just like in, Mary Poppins with the feed the birds, like that
Oh
song.
my god, I love that song. I sing that song
No,
too. I sing it to my kid every night. I
no.
love it.
But,
I
I
love
respect your right to like
it.
that song, and it's okay that it exists in the world, even though I don't like it.
See? I love
See?
it. I love it.
Yeah, but yeah, other than that terrible song that they cut,
It is kind of a downer. Like, I kind of get why they didn't.
yeah, Christmas Carol, perfect movie. I mean,
Yeah.
and
It's
it's
so
Michael
good.
Caine is so funny. It's like,
He just plays it so straight. He is
yeah.
like he is Scrooge. And that's
Also,
everything
I
to
mean,
me.
it's crazy if you read. I feel like I've never read Christmas Carol straight through, but I got the
Yeah. I don't think I
so
have
much
either.
of Muppet Christmas Carol, the lines are just taken from Christmas Carol, like which
I've
makes it
heard
even funnier. Like,
yes. I've
like
heard it's like the most accurate
it
representation.
is when this is like really showing how many times I've seen this movie. When Gonzo's
Please.
at the end, who's like, and Tiny Tim, who did not die.
Die.
That line is in the book.
It's amazing.
It's so funny. Who did
Oh, I
not
love it.
die?
Who did not die? That's like, it's kind of like the Jane Austen school of like, okay, they're together now. I'm tired of writing. Everyone's fine and they got married. Bye. The end. That's like how all of her books end.
All worked out great.
All right, we did it. We're done. Thank you.
Yeah, you got what you
It's so
wanted.
good. Exactly.
I'm not a huge Jane Austen fan. I don't think I'm enough of a romantic. I'm always like, this is problematic.
Oh, no. I hadn't read any Jane Austen until a couple years ago, and I listened to an audiobook that was narrated by Kate Beckinsale
Oh, okay.
of Pride and Prejudice. And like the dad was hysterical through the whole thing to me. And like her performance
That's
was
great.
just everything. And then I watched the Keira Knightley movie, and then it was all over. And I was
Yeah, I feel like there's some of them that I like. I did just rewatch which is different, obviously, but the Little Women, that the Greta Gerwig one.
I
Have you
haven't
watched
seen that
that?
one.
Oh,
I know.
oh,
I
so good.
I went through a phase of Little Women when I
Yeah.
was younger. So,
And I never really I feel it's the first one that really gets Joe. Because
yeah.
I like identify with Joe.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's why I don't
You
like
kidding me?
Jane
Yeah.
Austen. Because I'm like, this is stupid. I just want to work on my things.
I love it.
But it's really like I feel like they got her They got all the characters. Like they all.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
I need to see. I just
Yeah,
need to sit
it's
down.
beautiful. The music's beautiful. Everything about it, like all the clothing. They wear these like wool wrap things that are so
Please.
cool. Like I feel like the knitting community probably
Oh,
went nuts after
oh
seeing
my
it. Like
God.
made patterns and
Yeah. As someone who went through a real American Girl phase
Oh
in school, I can see how that would be a new obsession for me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You have to watch it. It's so good. So
I'll
good.
have to do it. I have a list of things that I need to
I
get to.
know.
That
Add
would
it
be
to the
perfect
list.
though, because I need like I was talking to someone the other day and I was like, I cannot take any stress that's invited into my life in media.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I cannot watch any stressful shows. I'm not playing any stressful video games. Like, I'm literally just like anything to calm my nervous
Yep.
system.
This is a time to. Okay, if you want a really calming show, this is what I'm watching right now to
Okay.
give you an idea of how much
Okay.
I agree with you. There was this show on Netflix, this British show, of course, that
Mhm.
was on Netflix a few years ago called The Repair Shop.
I love The Repair Shop.
It's the best
Oh
show.
my God.
Best show. It's the best show. It's back
Steve?
on YouTube. On YouTube,
Is it?
they put up the company, whoever does the
Yeah.
put up all the episodes, full episodes.
Lady, you just changed my life because
It's
I have been lamenting the fact that I
same,
couldn't see more.
same. They took it away. I was like, "Where's my repair shop?"
I
Same.
know.
All of
I'm
them.
like, I need to cry at this sweet old lady listening to her dad's clock chime again. Like,
No.
Steve just changed her life.
Like this friend gave her a
Yes.
cowbell on a
Yes.
leather thing, and she let it sit by her fire for 20 years, and it like practically decayed. But Steve's sister, who's the leather worker,
She
who's
is the leather worker.
amazing. She's amazing. I love her. She
And Kirsten.
repaired it. She repaired it. She repaired that cowbell.
Oh my God. Anything that Kirsten touches with the
The way she just
ceramics, I'm
painted it.
like, ooh, paint it. Yes, I'm like, glue that back together. You
her.
can't even see the crack.
The few episodes I've watched, there has not been enough of her, and I've been so upset. I'm like, where is she? I just see her in the background.
I know. I love her. I love when she's like, can you just leave me alone?
Yeah, you can tell she's like, I love this job. I really hate being on camera.
Right? My
But
gosh,
I'm like,
and the teddy bear ladies.
like, what's the compound? Oh, the weird toy ladies. Oh,
Love them.
with the
I
bows.
follow them.
They're so
I follow
toy
them on
ladies.
Instagram. I love them.
Oh, they're so great. Everyone's great. But yeah, it's all on YouTube. They have their own channel. It's like high quality episodes. It's amazing.
I'm literally so excited. I'm gonna watch it tonight.
It's the balm we all need.
So true. Just the painting restorations when they're just like lick a little like Q-tip and just get in there, and I just want to sit and watch.
I'm like, I just want those.
I know.
She's like,
Oh my
I'm just
God.
going to clean this whole giant painting with a Q-tip. It's like, oh my God.
I just want to sit and watch. I'm like, can I just hang out?
But my
Can I
favorite
just
part
sit?
is, it's so great. And I love the upholstery woman. Oh,
Yes.
she did,
Yes.
she did like a Aero Sarin chair. Oh, so cool.
Oh, when they do the welding and like the stained glass work, I could watch
every single one of them. I love all the artisans. I love every single one of them.
I feel like as crafty people
Oh,
too, like all of us just want to be like, give me that one very specific tool you have.
Yeah, can you like, is there like a repair shop after dark that I could like watch?
Right.
I asked more because there's just one that's showing all the tools and what are your compounds. Like I want all the details.
Oh my God. Just Steve with his little, because he's like, this is a tool of my dad's. It's like, 500 years old because it's in the UK.
And it's like, they don't make these anymore. Like everything is followed by like this screwdriver. They stopped making these. Like this is the only, and you're just like, oh no.
This is precious.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, that just made my day. And I'm so excited to watch more Repair Shop.
And there's like so many seasons. I think they put them all up.
Oh my God. I'm so excited. Because they really, Netflix only had a handful.
I know. They didn't have enough.
And then I follow them on Instagram and I'm like, well, isn't that wonderful for everyone in the UK?
Yeah, there was like this Canadian channel that had like all the shows I wanted, and you cannot like it was like Repair Shop, all those like miniatures.
Oh yes,
like all like the miniature competition shows. Like, and there was like 5 other shows that I was like, these shows are my dream, and I can't have them.
Did you ever watch the Great Pottery
Of course.
Throwdown?
Oh,
Oh,
yes, all seasons. Yes, it's on HBO.
I am obsessed. The way I like Google everyone, and I'm like, I've bought stuff from so many different people.
You're better than I.
I'm friends with Adam on Instagram from
Wait,
like a
who's
couple
Adam? I don't know who
seasons
Adam
ago.
is.
Adam did like all the
Name.
super bright stuff. Was it like the third season? Like the super bright pastelly. His last thing was like this Art Deco like drink punch set
Okay, I think
that he actually used in his
I'm gonna have.
wedding.
I'm like, we'll literally go back and look today.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
I'll
I'm
send you his
terrible at names. Like
Instagram.
I forget everyone's name instantly. But
Yeah,
like, I love
I'll send you
art.
his Instagram. You would love his stuff. It's all
Oh,
so fun and expressive. And he and his husband do ceramics together, and
oh,
it's so like their styles are so fun. You would love them. You'd love them
oh,
both. Okay,
oh my
I'm
gosh!
excited.
I'm saying now this has just become my TV recap, so I can keep going.
I know. But here's the thing, this podcast is all about creativity and chatting
Yep.
because that's what I wanted in a podcast. I was like, I'm tired of hearing about all the ways you can grow your business. I'm like, yes, I
Yeah,
used to
there's
make
enough
that
of those.
content
The answer
too,
is just you
but
have to like the answer of voice creation. You have to be working really hard. You have to be really dedicated, and you never
yes.
stop.
And you never stop. You have to have very clear boundaries.
Yeah, and you have to just be like this is like back to like we love talent. Oh, creativity, talent, smart. Oh,
Yeah.
you're so smart. You're so talented. Talent, smarts matters like a teeny tiny bit. It points you in the direction of what you want to do.
Hmm.
That's it. Like
Yeah.
everything else is like the personality of someone who's super dedicated, super organized, that's how you succeed. Like you keep
It's the
trying, but you fail and
consistency.
like you fail and fail and you just keep going. Like talent and creativity
Yeah.
and smarts, those are just
They're
starting.
great. They
They're great.
help,
Yeah.
but
The most
it
talented
really
people
is.
are not the most successful people. Sometimes they are.
Hmm.
Sometimes that crosses over, but
So
not
true.
mostly.
I love that. Oh my gosh. This has been so fun. Laura, I'm
Yay!
so glad you could do
So
this.
fun. I really talked your ear off, but
Yeah, no, that's what it's all about. And I hope you have a great Blue Genie.
thank
Yeah, and
you.
enjoy. Do you want to, is there anything else you've got going on? Anywhere people can find you
Oh,
specifically?
all the plugs. Yes. I'm really just on Instagram is my main jam.
That's
So
fair.
it's at Laura Fisk Studio, and you can see my illustration work at laurafisk.com, or you can see the coloring sheets. This is my main product at fiskandfern.com.
Awesome. Yay. Thank you so much, Laura. Thank you so much for listening. All of Laura's links are down below in the show notes, in the description, in the blog post, wherever you are listening or watching, the information is there. Definitely check her out. Her work is so fun. And don't forget that I'm over on Substack now. I'm trying to move my whole kind of website over there. We'll see. I appreciate their freeness as someone with a passion project. So be sure to check me out there. I appreciate every single person who has listened so far. You are heroes. All right. I'll stop rambling. Thank you for listening. I'll see you in the next one.